The first of these dimensions is what's been referred to as reduced situational awareness. In many studies over the last 10 years, there has been a consistent finding that as people become fatigued, their situational awareness is reduced. Now you may ask the question, what do I mean by situational awareness? And it is one of those terms which on the surface seems relatively simple and straightforward, but the more you think into it, the difficult and the more complex it becomes. But what I'm going to try and do is start with a very simple analogy. If you've ever played chess, you will understand that a game of chess has a board, it has pieces on it, and those pieces move over time. The best way of thinking about situational awareness is the state of the chessboard at a particular point in time. Where all the pieces are, which of your pieces are threatened by your opponent's pieces, and which of your opponent's pieces are threatened by you. A good chess player is able to keep all of that information together and to maintain an internal representational map of the state of the game at any point in time. This is a very simple analogy for what situational awareness is, but according to the task, it can vary significantly. So for example, if you were driving a car, then situational awareness would be related to where I am in my journey, what cars are around me, what position in the road do I need to be in, what speed should I be travelling, do I need to change lanes in order to anticipate a turn coming up. On the other hand, situational awareness can be quite abstract. So for example, in an individual who's working in a hospital, for example as a doctor, they may need to know who their patients are, what the potential test results of the patients are, what the potential diagnoses are, and what are all of the treatment options that I have for each patient at each point in time. Every task can be thought about as a complex decision space for which situational awareness can vary. The key point to understand is that as you become increasingly fatigued, your situational awareness is reduced. And that happens in a number of ways. So if we go back to the original analogy around the chessboard, then what you will see is that a tired individual plays chess a little bit like a child. If you've ever played chess with a child, you will know a couple of key things happen. The first is that they tend to focus on the main pieces and they tend to be less aware of peripheral factors in the game. Being tired is a bit like that. That is, a tired person playing chess will focus on what they believe to be the key pieces and the key moves. And in many cases they can forget things that are in the peripheral areas of awareness. Why do we do this when we become tired? Well, the reasons for this are complex, but it's been referred to as the load shedding hypothesis. Again, by analogy, if we look at what happens in a big, busy city in Australia in the middle of summer when everybody is using their air conditioning, rather than run out of electricity and the whole city shut down, what happens is the electricity trust or the power company makes a decision to turn off the power in certain areas, and then they turn that area of energy off in varying parts of the city at varying times. So you will be turned off for a couple of hours. By systematically choosing areas and rotating these for short periods of time, you can maintain service in the vast majority of the system. This is what's referred to in the power industry as load shedding. The important point to understand is that there is a cognitive equivalent. As you become fatigued, or as the demands of a task go up and exceed the capacity of the brain, people make a decision, or their brain makes a decision for them, to not attend to certain functions. If we take, for example, somebody driving a car in a simulator, when that individual becomes fatigued, if I stop that simulation and say to them, what was the brand of the petrol station that you passed 5 kilometres ago? What is the car in your rear left quadrant? How many miles to the next destination was the last 5 kilometre sign that you passed? People who are tired tend to not remember or to not encode those forms of peripheral information, and that's an example of what we call reduced situational awareness, and it happens through a process of load shedding and what's been referred to in the cognitive literature as attentional tunnelling.